time is that if you want people to move in the policy world, no matter what it is, link their promotion opportunity to their pay, link that to the performance of the women who work under them or around them. Yeah. So if you have a principal of a school who doesn't seem to be doing much in terms of the hiring, the promotion and the retention of women, and retention is very important in many developing countries. Oftentimes children go to school, where is the teacher? Children are there, where is the teacher? So if you want to see the numbers grow, hiring, retention and promotion of women, then ensure that principals are measured against a metric of how is their school performing, how is their school performing, so that when the Ministry of Finance is providing financial allocations for the schools, one of the considerations is the performance metrics on that basis, and whether or not the principal is promoted or not, or goes to the next pay grade, is also contingent on factors such as that, and also potentially training students at school as well on sexual harassment and so on and so forth. So they learn at a very young age. This is just one thought. Bhavani, do we have time for one more question? On next steps? Okay. What we're going to do is going to rule off here then, because the next steps... One more? Okay, fine. One more. And then we're going to go to next steps and you have another opportunity after that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is it working? I just wanted to thank the working group for the great work you've done, and I wanted to ask if you could share with us, how do we move forward with this? What happens with the policy pack? How are we going to get this to be implemented in our different countries? Or how do you think we should advocate on your recommendations and how we can all help?
First, let's talk about our recommendations, shall we? They are our recommendations which we need to work towards to implement. So, people over there on the slide deck, can you put those 5 thematic recommendations back up, please, on the board? Now, I'm going to read something out to you, and while you're looking at the thematic recommendations when they come up, I want you to think about pledging to this. And I know you can't read it, so I'm going to read it out for you. We're going to be answering that question. In fact, we've got 2 experts here in Binny and Pedro who are going to be talking about the way forward. And I don't know, maybe some of you missed it. I know a lot of you, many of us, and we need to be concerned about the environment and the disproportionately negative impact on women and girls that the not global warming but global boiling is having, and as it progresses, maybe you missed it, but Binny is responsible for the Green Caucus in Indonesian government. So if we want to talk about, yes, big round of applause there. This is the thing with such an esteemed panel. We've got presidentially recognised speakers over here, we've got recognised speakers over here, and it becomes a big blur, and you don't even get these really important nuggets like that one. So we have people here who actively engage with government to change policy, yeah? And we can sit down here, we can say, oh, they're on the podium, so important, I could never do that. No. We have to do this individually and collectively. One of the best ways to do that is to remember at all times that most of us come from governments which are democratically elected and can be democratically voted out. Yeah? But your government needs to know, local, state, federal, what your policy priorities are. Now, we've had more than 7 lakhs worth of people come and contribute to this discussion, so you've got the weight of literally the G20 world behind you when you go and say, listen, this is important. Prioritising mental health, expanding education access and improve the last mile connectivity, engaging men and boys, increasing women's participation in disaster preparedness and management roles, and improving access to finance for women-owned SMEs. I didn't make it up. 144 countries, 7 lakh worth of people, over 1,000 policy recommendations boil down to that there. Yeah? So this gives you the ammunition to fight the fight. So, after our distinguished speakers are speaking about the way forward, drawing on their experience in making progress on policy implementation, I am going to ask you for a show of hands at the end, when I'm going to ask you, all of you, individually and collectively, do you pledge to do your utmost to integrate the implementation of these recommendations on gender equality and women's empowerment into my work? That's the easy one. I further commit to sharing the recommendations with my contacts, and to send the policy pack to elected government representatives with a call for action on implementation. So at the conclusion of this next little segment, I'm going to ask you for a show of hands who in the audience is willing to pledge to act. Thank you. We've got, excellent. I love it when people start. Excellent. That's fantastic. Not quite up to that bit, but nice to know you're first. Yay! Got our first cab out of the rank. Okay. Oh, are you? So, what an honour to have you with us. Really, fantastic. And to show, already showing leadership. Come on, we're on gender equality, women's empowerment. We're being overshadowed by L20. Come on, folks. Okay, so let's hear about, please, Binny, on your experience on implementation and ways forward, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good day. Good day. Selamat siang. I'm Binny Buchori. I'm Indonesia. I'm really grateful to be invited here. That's already 10 seconds. So I think I would like to start from the speaker from Israel, that the way forward is also related on how the macro policy and the democracy issues in our own environment. And to think back, and still, I'm still learning, and I'm as I'm still working on these issues, this work, is that when we talk about the way forward, how to make it happen, I would like to say two keywords: that policy making is multi-layers. Policy making is about momentum, and policy making is pretty complex. But your commitment to do this, and the belief and the faith in yourself, then we can make a difference. That's what's going to drive you. And dear friends, I've been working on advocacy issue maybe 2-3 decades. It's pretty tiring. It's pretty exhausting. So think of your wellness. Love yourself. Reach out. And believe that something could happen. Indonesia is a new country because it's only going to celebrate its independence in a couple of weeks for the 78 years. It's a new country in comparison to India. 78 years. 78 years. We got our independence in 1945. And before. Okay, sorry. I mean, in terms of all right. Compared to America, Alison. Compared to the independence of the United States, Alison, we're nothing compared to you. You're 200 years old. And in that 78 years old, we only got the law on affirmative actions for women in politics only in 1998. That's how many years? 20 years, right? In 1998, no, it was even passed in the early 2000. Anyway, that law says that all political parties must nominate 30% of candidacy for all seats in the parliament. This is the incentive. You go to the political party, you get the support from the woman in the political party. That I will incentive. And then, of course, is it perfect? No. But it's something. It's a milestone. And then early in 2000 as well, Indonesia, for the first time, passed the law on domestic violence. It is beyond our imagination because Indonesia is a beautiful country and everything, but it's very patriarchy, and gender equality is something new. Feminism was only widely taught in early 80s, but we got there. And if we can get there, I'm sure we all get together. And then also the last law that was passed only last year is the law on violence against women. This is very important in our country, in our context, because this law gave a legal framework to the police, to community, to report domestic violence. And the result is, of course, every day we're hearing about this. So it is disheartening to hear the increase, for example, of incest, domestic violence, but it is being reported. So something is happening. And it's not easy, but keep having faith and let's do this together. Thank you.
And just to point out the wealth of experience here, we actually have what's called the Troika. We have the immediate past representative of the immediate past president of the G20, which is Indonesia, the current presidency, which is India, and the future presidency. It's all falling, the weight of the world, or the weight of the G20 is going to be about there and there, I think, next year. So, Pedro, what's the way forward?
Thank you very much. It's a lot of weight. But first of all, just to thank the invitation and to recognize the responsibility of being the only man in the stage. Normally, it's the opposite, unfortunately, including in our civil society events, normally is the opposite. And we have to change this too. I came, and you will meet, I hope, our country, Brazil, is a very male-centered country, I imagine as the majority of them. And I think you who follow international politics may know what happened in Brazil when we elected a woman as a president. So that says a lot of our country. But what I needed to say to you here is just to thank the efforts of the working group. We are following very closely, and I think that this working group is one of the most active in the C20 in India with the biggest results. So it's very nice to acknowledge this and to put it forward. And also to say that the legacy of this working group and these discussions in C20 will be passed for the C20 Brazil, of course. Not only because we in Brazil nominated a woman as a Sherpa, which I know that's not common too, that's Alessandra, but also because this is a very important discussion for us. And we hope that in Brazil we could bring together and make it more broad for women organizations from Brazil and Latin America to participate on the process of Civil 20. Because in our continent, in Latin America,